2015 Toronto International Film Festival took over the city of Toronto and gave film lovers 10 days of music, mayhem, movies, and stars. And of course, ANOKHI Magazine's very own arts and entertainment editor, Matthew Currie, was in the thick of things, and he gives us his top films from this year's festival. Let's start off with He Named Me Malala.
Yeah.
Tell me about what you thought about that film, because I could not stop crying.
Yeah, no, I was on the verge of tears too, and it's difficult not to be. It's a documentary directed by Davis Guggenheim, who's a very, a famed documentarian. He did An Inconvenient Truth. With this one, he's really, hit another home run. What's really striking about this film is that you get to know the girl behind the icon. You spend so much time with her and her family and her father, and just witnessing this remarkable bond that they have, and witnessing how she's just living her life as a regular teenage girl while also living this dual life as this international symbol for freedom. It's going to be a movie that a lot of people are going to really enjoy. It's going to affect people. It's going to move them in a way that maybe the previous coverage and even the book itself haven't up to this point.
Two of the masterstrokes I thought of this film, and I'm interested in your opinion, is one, it didn't focus on the attack on Malala. Instead, it focused on her zest for life and her family who was always there supporting her. And two, the animations.
Yeah.
I thought the beautiful animations in the film really created an accessibility factor for anybody who didn't know much about Malala.
The animation was one of the more unique things about this film. In an interview with the director, Davis Guggenheim, got to address that a little bit, and he mentioned that he was just so kind of tired of the imagery of terrorism and just the destruction. So he kind of went into the history of the region and kind of adopted this animation style, this very, this mythical kind of storybook cartoons. And it just adds so much to the film. It elevates it.
So now let's move on to the legendary Bollywood actor Irfan Khan. I shouldn't say Bollywood because he's very Hollywood these days too.
Jurassic World.
And Guilty. Tell me about what you thought about Guilty. It was a compelling drama.
Yeah, so it's based on the famous 2008 Noida double murder case, in which obviously a young girl was found murdered in her bedroom. Authorities' attentions quickly turned to her parents. Yeah. It adopts kind of a Rashomon structure to tell. Rashomon's an iconic Japanese film from 1950, and basically there are 2 or 3 different theories of exactly how this crime happened. And what the director Magna Gulzar did in making this film was take each theory and give it equal weighting. So essentially you're seeing the story of this murder play out from 3 different perspectives as we see the various investigators formulate their own theory and do their own investigation and try to find the truth.
Now let's talk about those goddesses, those angry Indian goddesses. Yes, there's been so much said about the state of women and women's rights in South Asian countries. But this story is a very refreshing take on what it means to be a woman today and in a very urban setting in India. What do you think about that?
It engages with all those issues, the issues of sexism, the issues of oppression, the issues of gay rights. But it's also, at its core, a celebration of women, a celebration of strength and passion and being able to pursue your dreams. And this bonding. The film itself is being billed as India's first all-female buddy comedy. Yes. What's interesting also is that it's a largely improvised film. Like there was very little script to speak of, and the actresses would all just kind of riff and bounce off of each other. Like they'd have an objective in the scene, but then they'd really just rely on the actresses' own instincts and their own connection to one another, their own chemistry to really guide the film. One of the more striking things about this film is that for most of its runtime, it is that kind of like Bridesmaids-ish sort of buddy comedy. Yeah. But then at a certain point, something happens that totally recontextualizes everything you've seen up at that point. And it really ends, I don't want to spoil anything, but it just ends on a very powerful, rabble-rousing, anger-inducing note.
So from Bollywood to Hollywood, I know you loved the Demolition.
It's a film from Jean-Marc Vallée, Canadian director, who most famously helped Matthew McConaughey win an Oscar for Dallas Buyers Club a couple years ago. Maybe he's doing the same thing for Jake Gyllenhaal this time around, because it's a very striking, unique film. It stars Jake Gyllenhaal as this kind of a Wall Street sort of executive who, at the very beginning of the film, he's driving in a car with his wife, and they're in an accident, and she dies. And then after that, he sort of just gradually unravels and demolishes or deconstructs his life. But what's so striking about this film is that we haven't quite seen a character like this, and we haven't quite seen a character who processes this kind of tragedy in quite this way.
Now, there was a lot of buzz around The Martian with Matt Damon. You know, there was a lot of buzz for Matt Damon too. What'd you think of it?
Story of a man who's on a mission. I think it's the first mission to Mars. But they start the movie, him and his team are on Mars, and this storm kicks up, so they have to evacuate. But Matt Damon's character, who's a botanist, gets hit by some debris, and his team thinks he's dead, so they leave him behind. And the story's all about how he, you know, on this planet has to find a way to survive. What's so unique about it is that it focuses, it's you know, big budget, it's on Mars, these big elaborate sets, but it's really kind of a small human story that's celebrating human ingenuity, human intelligence, and really the human will to survive.
And don't forget to stay in the loop for your weekly dose of entertainment glitz and glam with ANOKHI Pulse TV. You can catch us online at ANOKHImedia.com and our YouTube channel. And don't forget to interact with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.